Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner. I'm Jennifer Brown, Family Consumer Science Agent with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Before the break, I talked about disaster preparedness, and I mentioned towards the end about some of the things that you should keep and toss. So I wanted to show you briefly what some of the handouts that we have available from our extension office are so that you can contact us if you are in need of these things. We're also going to be providing these fact sheets or images of them on our Facebook page, which you can always like and follow us at Person Granville FCS, our Facebook and Instagram pages. It's our food for thought pages. So the first one I'm going to show you is I mentioned foods to keep and discard after a power outage. No matter whether it's inclement weather, a thunderstorm, or just you lose power, a transformer or something blows. So this list, again, is based solely on the safety of the food. As I mentioned, there's a difference between food safety and food quality. So you can kind of see these are the foods that you can keep here. Again, there are some foods that are a little bit in the bolded thing. That may spoil faster than other products. So that's the quality of it. Okay, you kind of know what spoilage is. It doesn't smell right, it doesn't taste right, it has a funky, whatever. Um, you cannot smell, taste, or see foodborne pathogens or foodborne illnesses. So smelling something does not mean, oh, this has salmonella or E. coli or something. That's food spoilage. That is the quality. But we are concerned about food safety. Nobody wants to drink old milk, but that's not a food safety. That's a food quality thing there. Okay. So this is based on food safety here. Some are going to spoil faster than longer that they are at room temperatures. There are quality concerns. The food should still be safe to consume. Okay. So again, here is that list. Now, for those meat products, the poultry, seafood, eggs, and other meats, we want to make sure that you are cooking those to the right temperature. So they might be food safe, but only if you're cooking to the right temperature. So I mentioned that there are more than one type of thermometer you need. You need a thermometer for your refrigerator and your freezers, but you also need a thermometer, a digital thermometer to insert into the thickest part of the meat. That is while it's cooking to know if it's done. And the temperatures down here in the green section at the bottom tell you this is the temperature that the food should be in order to know that it has been fully cooked and has killed any pathogens that might be on it. Okay. So your raw meat, poultry, fish, or seafood is safe to keep from your refrigerator if you're going to cook it to the right temperature. Okay. So now, after a power outage, these are the foods that you want to discard. So I'm going to leave this list up just for a minute. And again, I'm going to share this on our Facebook and Instagram pages, our food for thought. It's at Person Granville FCS. They will also be on our extension website, or you can call the extension office or drop by the Person County extension office to get these handouts there. Okay. So you can see we broke them out into the different categories there. Any leftover meats. So if you're going to fully cook meat, it's raw meat that you're going to fully cook, that's okay as long as you're going to cook it to the right temperature. But any leftover stuff, just toss that out there. Okay. But you see this chart or this graph at the bottom right here. It tells you that this product, you want to check the product temperature using a food thermometer and then follow this chart to determine when to keep it and when to discard it. So I gave you one list earlier on the front of this handout that's to keep, and this list is to discard. That list is only based on this chart. Okay, you don't keep that stuff if you've been without power for 3 or 4 days. Only on this chart. So those products on that first page, you are allowed to keep if you have been without power for a certain amount of time and the temperature of the food. Okay. So if it's only been 4 hours, that food can get up to about 55 degrees. If it gets up to 60, you got to toss it. It goes into the discard pile. Okay. Just like if it doesn't get as warm in your refrigerator, you can keep it from 4 to 6. If it doesn't get even, if it only goes up 1 or 2 degrees in your refrigerator, because your refrigerator should be no more than 41 degrees. If it gets up to 45, you can keep those products for up to 6 to 9 hours. Now, if you've been out without power from 9 to 15 hours, throw it all out. And most of us are usually without power for like a day or so. But that's why it's good to have those extra coolers with extra ice. It's good to have as much, have a freezer full of stuff. Because if that freezer is full, you can keep those food products. They're good for about 2 days for a full freezer, 48 hours. One day, 24 hours, if your freezer is only half full. Okay. But we want to not worry as much about what happens afterwards. We want you to be a little bit more prepared, a little bit more proactive. So we also have handouts of how to prepare for that power outage. So I mentioned this earlier, but this is a fact sheet that we have that kind of talks about what I mentioned earlier. These are some foods to the left that you want to stock up on in preparation for that. You will notice milk is not on here unless it says shelf stable milk. That's those milks in the boxes, like your evaporated milks or those kind of milks, powdered milks, those kinds of things is what you can get milk as. If you are going and buying cold refrigerated milk, it's going to be in your refrigerator. Can't keep it long. You're going to have to toss it. Okay. But these are the other products. Yes, bread is perfectly fine. You can make sandwiches, you can make, whatever else. So bread is good. Your nut butters, peanut butter, almond butter, making those sandwiches is great. There. Okay. But number one tip is to purchase a thermometer. And not just purchase it, locate where it is. If you have already previously bought it, put it in your refrigerator and put it in your freezer. It could be you need 3 of them. I think I have 4 because I have a freezer refrigerator unit and then I have 2 freezers. So I have like 4 thermometers that are specifically made for a freezer or refrigerator. They're like $5 a pop at like Food Lion or Walmart. They're not that expensive. And trust me, it is so much worth it rather than having to toss out all my food because I don't know the temperature of my refrigerator. And then you need a tip-sensitive digital thermometer, which is a little bit more expensive, maybe 10, maybe max $15, but you only need one of those. And that is to test the temperature of your food as you're cooking it to make sure it gets up to the appropriate cooking temperature. Beforehand, again, taking stock of that refrigeration, purchasing and storing water, preparing coolers, purchasing ice or even dry ice so that you can keep those cold foods colder for longer. It could be, I don't necessarily mention generators, but because that's a little bit more of an expense there. But if you do purchase the generator, making sure you're following all manufacturers' guidelines, that it's a certain distance away from your home. You know what you can connect to it. You can only connect so much stuff. Certain things are going to take a lot more juice and a lot more power than other things. If you want a whole house generator, these are things that are going to be fairly expensive and it's going to take a professional to come and give you that. So you might not be ready for it this season, but maybe you're going to think about it or get for next season. And then the last handout I kind of have for this time of year is meal prep and food safety during a power outage. Okay. So the other 2 were how to prep for one, what to do after. This one's about what to do during. If you are cooking without power, again, thinking ahead of time, maybe you need to have an electric skillet if you have a generator that you can plug to that generator because it won't take as much juice up as trying to hook your oven or microwave or stove or whatever to it. Having a grill, making sure if you have a grill, you have propane tanks or you have charcoal or whatever else you use for your grill. Making sure you're doing it safe. You're not bringing that grill inside your house. You have clean, safe water, not only to drink, to flush the toilets, to brush your teeth, to if you have babies and you're making formula, to make sure you have water for your pets or animals. And again, do I have to keep opening my refrigerator? If I leave my refrigerator alone, it will maintain that temperature longer. So I need to make sure I have plenty of shelf stable stuff in my pantries. Um, you know, bottles of water, cans of, beverages, seltzer water, or even, soft drinks or teas or something that are in a can or bottle that don't have to be refrigerated. Okay. When in doubt, contact us at the Extension office for more information uh, about food safety, about all of this in general. Okay, so you may be aware that we do a lot with food and nutrition, but we have a lot of information about disaster preparedness at our extension office. We even have our state extension office even has information and disaster preparedness resources. So you can, again, before there's a disaster, go look up at some of that information online and try to get a preparedness kit. Contact the local emergency management services office here in the county before a storm is coming and ask, hey, what do you recommend? We also referred people to a website, ready.gov. This is the website of the Department of Homeland Security, and we want you to be safe and secure. And it has information about disaster preparedness. It has links to all the stuff that I'm telling you you need to get together. So this is what the ready.gov website looks like. So it has an entire link about disasters and emergencies. So maybe you're just thinking about severe weather or winter weather. If you want hurricanes, if you want whatever, depending on where you live and what you might be concerned about. It has how to make a plan, all of the different things, what you need to build a kit. If you don't have, a lot of money, like most of us don't, I can't go buy, this big generator and dry ice and coolers and all this stuff in case something might happen. It has resources about a low or even no cost way to be prepared. We want you to be prepared for technology. A lot of us are so reliant on technology, or at least with our children. Our children go like stir crazy if they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have my TV and I don't have my tablets and I don't have Netflix or I don't have whatever. So having everything fully charged, having backup, battery packs that you can charge things, having ways to like, okay, I need to make sure I have a full tank of gas so I could go out and plug something in my car and charge my cell phone that way, if that's how I need to charge my phone. If you have older adults that you care for, making sure that they have all the medications that they need to get them through the next week, making sure that they have maybe their steps, they have some salt for their steps so it's not slippery. Or how are you going to communicate with them? Maybe they live further away, or maybe they're just 10 minutes down the road, but if they lose power and they don't have a cell phone, how are you going to reach them? Maybe you're not able to get out and drive and go see them. And I mean, again, it has just information on when, why you should be winter ready. 63% of temperature-related deaths are attributed to cold exposure. Home heating is the second leading cause of home fires, and winter is when the most home fires happen. I know we've seen, I think it was in New York or something last year, they were caught by a winter storm and people like froze to death in their cars because they were trying to get home or they were trying to do stuff. Talk to your kids. It has a section here about ready kids, how to get kids involved in this. You don't want to, if you just lose power, you don't want to be like, oh, we'll just light all these candles. Do you have matches? If you lose power, you don't want to be walking around your pitch black home trying to locate your flashlights. Do they have batteries? Are the batteries fresh? Have they rotted? Do you have a radio? Any way to communicate or get information from the outside world to know if there's an evacuation, to know if there's resources for help. If there is, a hurricane or something, you need also information about, where it says tech ready, you need information about your your insurance policy. Say your home was damaged. A tree from the winter storm fell on your home and you have to evacuate your home. Do you have that home owner's insurance information readily available, or do you have to be digging through it? What if it's right in your bedroom where the tree fell down and you can't get in there to get that? Do you have some of that information maybe backed up, in your Google Drive, or is it at work? Is it, someplace safe? Does someone have a copy of it? These are just all things to think. So ready.gov has a lot of different resources and gives you a lot of information to think about. And we have a lot of information, and we've done a lot of workshops and have handouts for you. So just contact your extension office, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Person Granville FCS. We're going to take another break and get a word on from one of our sponsors.
Do you have those annoying potholes in your driveway? Need some driveway regrading? Or maybe you just need some new gravel? Give JT Allison a call. Jody has been in business for over 25 years, specializing in driveway grading and hauling gravel. He also does all types of small tractor work and some backhoe and bush hogging work. Jody strives to do a top-notch job and to make sure that you, the customer, is always happy. Whether it's a small job or a big job, we have multiple truck sizes to accommodate your needs. Here at JT Allison, we appreciate your business. Check us out on Facebook at JT Allison LLC or give us a call at 336-583-6250. Jody and Kim Allison. We are rocking the county one load at a time.
Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner. I am Jennifer Brown, Family Consumer Science Agent with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. And I am so happy to say Happy New Year to 2024. I want to talk to you first about disaster preparedness. During this time of year, people are always trying to make plans or make resolutions, a lot of times to be healthier, to maybe exercise more, to eat better. And while all of that is great, and we have all of that information and resources available to help you do that in 2024, we don't want you to forget about some of the other responsibilities that we have. As we continue to have, thunderstorms or possible inclement weather as it starts to turn a little bit colder and that rain starts to, it maybe in the next couple of weeks, become snow. We know that we're going to have some natural disasters, and we want you to be prepared for this instead of always reacting to them. So we have some information from the North Carolina Safe Pits program. This is a program that teaches food safety to our food establishments in the area, but they also have information about home food preservation, and in this case, how to be prepared for disasters when it comes to your food. I'm sure that many of us have experienced a natural disaster firsthand. Sometimes we over prepare, and then other times we under prepare, and that's usually when we get caught and we realize that maybe next time we need to do a better job. So how to prepare for a natural disaster? First and foremost, you've heard it many times that you need to have some, disaster preparedness kit. It could be you need a go bag in case of an emergency evacuation. A lot of people I know probably at the coast have emergency go bags when it's hurricane season. We need to make sure that we have go bags in case maybe we lose power and we're going to be out of power for like a couple of weeks. Or if there is a tornado or a hurricane or even just flooding that could occur in our home. When we're talking about food safety, I'm always telling people that they need to purchase some digital thermometers so that you can know the temperature of your food as you're cooking it, but also for your refrigerators. If you lose power, those new fancy, refrigerators that tell you the temperature of your refrigerator is not going to be working. That digital readout's not going to work if you don't have power. So you're going to need those thermometers for your refrigerator as well as for your freezer so that you can know how warm it actually gets inside there. Because when people call our extension office and ask, Okay, do I need to throw this food away? What food is good? What food's not good? That's the first thing I'm going to ask is how long were you without power and what is the temperature that your refrigerator got up to? If you don't have a thermometer that is inside of the refrigerator and one in the freezers, then you're not going to be able to tell me that. You can tell me maybe, oh, I lost power for 4 hours or 16 hours. But if you can't tell me the temperature, then I may not be able to tell you if your food is safe. And I'm going to have to tell you, toss it all. But there's a lot of food that you, and even some food supplies that you can keep depending on that temperature. We always recommend that you keep enough water. You can go longer without food than you can without water. So make sure that you have stored and purchased water. Not just drinking water, you're going to need water to flush your toilets because if you don't have power, that's not working. So you're going to have to, your well or your water pump is not putting fresh water in that system there. You might want to prepare coolers and purchase ice or even dry ice to keep some of those cold foods cold. Foods that can support the growth of pathogens are naturally going to be riskier to consume after they've gotten out of that refrigeration temperature. For example, any of your cooked products, your cooked vegetables, your cooked meats, any leftovers, those are going to be more sensitive to the fact that they have been in a warmer environment. So putting that thermometer in your refrigerator and freezer, and then when you are cooking foods, you still need a digital thermometer to test the temperature of your foods. There are some foods that you want to stock up on. I know everyone always goes to the store and they get milk and bread. So let me tell you what you need to stock up on and what you need to actually not buy. So foods to stock up on, certain dairy products is okay. We recommend your hard cheeses because that it's okay with the temperatures. Your individually packaged cultured dairy products like yogurt or sour creams are fine to purchase. Individually wrapped cheese sticks, shelf-stable milk boxes, and shelf-stable alternative milk in boxes. So we're not talking about your refrigerated milk. You're talking about your shelf stable, goes on the pantry. Yes, once you open it, might need to be refrigerated, but your other milks there, okay? Proteins, your hard-boiled, air-cooled eggs, your shelf-stable, dry fermented meats such as pepperoni, and your individually packaged nut or seed butters. So peanut butter, almond butter, hazelnut, whatever those kind of butters you like. Shelf-stable canned, pouched, or boxed food. Soups, stews, chilies, pastas, your fruits and veggies, canned products, fruits and vegetable juices products, your canned meat such as tuna, salmon, chicken, pork and beans, those shelf-stable products that technically that are even like pre-cooked or, they're not like raw meats. You can open a can of tuna and just eat it out of that. You don't have to cook it or prepare it. Most of us like to heat up our pork and beans, but technically you just open the can and eat it right out of it. Certain grains and snacks, such as your breads, your rolls, your buns, muffins, baked goods, crackers, pretzels, popcorns, and granola bars. Any of those things that are those shelf-stable, non-perishable food products. Okay. Your whole fruits and veggies are fine. Again, not things that are already cut as much, or at least your pre-cut fruits and vegetables are fine, except for those leafy greens, tomatoes, and melons. Once those tomatoes and melons are cut, they have to be in that refrigerated temperature there. But you can always get, grapes and apples, bananas, berries, cherries, tomatoes, those kinds of a thing. Individually, cans or containers of fruit salad, applesauce, fruit cups, whatever else is good. Again, we always recommend that you store or purchase water because sometimes our water systems could be impacted if there is a natural disaster. You want to, again, have water that's for brushing teeth, cooking, cleaning. Make sure you have water for your pets too. It's not just about water for you and your family to drink. Keeping food cold. When you lose power in a natural disaster, that's often what's gonna happen. You need to try to use dry ice or regular ice to extend the amount of time that your food is going to be at that cold temperature of 41 degrees, because that's what our refrigeration is. You want to make sure that your refrigerators are properly maintained. If they are, then they should keep food safe for about 4 hours without powers. If you're not, up opening and closing it so often, the refrigeration food is good for about 4 hours without power. But even if you lose power, that might be where you want to start transferring some of those foods to a cooler with some of those frozen ice packs, or even regular ice or dry ice, or whatever else. If your freezer is completely jam-packed full, it will maintain its temperature for about 48 hours without power. So that's about 2 full days. If the freezer is about half full, it will maintain its temperature for 24 hours, which is 1 day. So it's good to keep those freezers full. Empty spaces that you might have might be where you want to fill up some of those plastic jugs of water or ice packs to help fill it up. So that's something you could do beforehand. Is maybe you have two freezers and they're both half full, dump them all in one freezer so that it is fully full and it will remain colder longer. It'll last for up to 2 days. Now, once the storm happens, then what? That's mainly what we get calls about. And of course, if you lost power, you can't go online and look at our handouts or our resources or check out our information. You can't watch this recording unless it's on the TV or whatever else. So we always want to make sure that you're using safe, clean water. Okay. It might be that you need to boil it. If there's an advisory in certain places, they've had where it's a boiling water advisory. So that don't drink the water out of the faucet unless you've cleaned it by boiling it there. Whenever you are, you want to make sure that you're preparing food with safe water, that you've washed your hands with good water. So that's why you need to store so much extra water. It's not just about drinking. It's about so many other things. Now, if you don't have power and you're looking for ways to meal prep, you can always use maybe an outdoor grill or a fireplace, a camp stove, or even a charcoal burner to cook food outdoors. You don't want to use these things inside a building. You want to choose foods that will cook quickly. Eat commercially packaged food straight from the container. Like I mentioned, those pouches or cans of tuna. So there's a variety of different things. Some people I know will even try to, if it snows or something like that, they'll just take food out of the refrigerator and store it in the snow. If you're going to do that, you have to, again, monitor that internal temperature of the food, which is kind of hard to do. But you want to avoid placing food in direct sunlight. You want to have it in containers that will protect food from contamination as well as wild animals. And again, it's really not something that we recommend because it's hard to monitor that temperature. And if the temperature of that food gets above the refrigerated temperature of 41 degrees or more for more than 4 hours, you're going to want to throw it out anyway. Okay. So there is a difference between food safety and food quality. So people are always asking, is it safe or is it okay for me to do this? It might be okay, but it could be that the quality is not going to be there. So some of your foods, people are like, well, my freezer is kind of, everything's defrosted. Well, in that case, your freezer has basically become a refrigerator. If it's still 41 degrees, then it's just a refrigerator and that food is all safe. It's just not frozen anymore. You can refreeze it all again once you get power back, but it's just like if you had something in the freezer, took it out, put it in the refrigerator, defrosted it, and you decided you didn't want it and you put it back in the freezer. Doing that, taking it back and forth is going to affect the quality. It's not going to make it, unsafe, as long as it's been within that refrigeration temperature. And you got to think, your freezer is, say, 0 degrees. Your refrigerator is 41 degrees. So even if everything defrosts, it's going to take a while. I mentioned that if that freezer is full, it'll remain its temperature for like 2 days. Eventually, it'll start to warm up. But if you're having a thermometer in that freezer and you monitor it and you see that it's only 35 degrees, yes, maybe everything's defrosted, but it's still within refrigeration temperature. So it's still safe. It's still food safe. The quality might lessen because now you're going to freeze it again, but things to think about that. So we have handouts that tell you what you can keep and what you can toss. It's going to depend on the temperature that your food in the refrigerator or freezer got up to, and it's going to depend on the time. So you need to know both. That's why you need that refrigerator thermometer in your refrigerator and your freezer. But we actually have a chart that if your food got up to say, less than, like it got up to 55 degrees in your refrigerator, if it's only been 4 hours, that's fine. If it's been 4 to 6 hours, it can only get up to 50 degrees and you're allowed to keep it for 4 to 6 hours. If you were without power for 6 to 9 hours, then you don't want your refrigeration, your food to get up higher than 45 degrees. If it's been 9 to 15 hours, there's an entire list that you just need to toss. And it's going to depend. You're allowed to keep certain dairy products, your butter and your margarines, as I mentioned, your hard cheeses, your cultured dairy products. It depends on the time and temperature, what you're allowed to keep and what you're allowed to toss. Some of it you're going to have to toss, but there's an entire list of what you're allowed to keep. But you're only allowed to keep it for a certain amount of time based upon that temperature. Okay. But pretty much up to 4 hours, most things you can keep up to 4. If it's past that, there's a list that you need to toss. Okay. When in doubt, throw it out is what we're going to tell you. But a lot of times your condiments, they're perfectly fine. Okay. Again, if we're talking about more than 15 hours, then yeah, just toss it all just to be on the safe side. But I will put this information on our Cooperative Extension website as well as our Facebook page. And you can follow us on Facebook at Person Granville FCS. We're on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to try to put that information up. It should have already been there earlier this week. Anytime that they're calling for possible inclement weather, I will put these fact sheets up so you can see what you need to keep, what you need to toss, when you need to do that. If you have a natural disaster that's more unusual than others, for example, we don't get a lot of flooding around here because we're kind of a high enough elevation, but if you have certain issues or if it does happen to you, we have information about cleaning up your kitchen or your bathroom or wherever else after flooding, and we can provide that information. If you're recovering from your garden getting flooding, again, not quite this time of year, we can provide some information for you that. Don't forget to follow us online, and we're going to take a brief break to get a word on from our sponsors.
T.G. Brooks Supply Company wishes you a successful 2024. We will probably get a taste of more real winter and cold winter nights and days in January, which suggests a trip out to T.G. Brooks Company, 411 Helena Maria Road in Timberlake. Cold weather needs are found like furnace filters, stovepipe, pipe insulation, plastic to put around your windows. Also water heater elements, thermostats, pressure relief valves, ice melt, birdseed and sunflower and black oil seed. There are shovels in case we may have some snow. They have wedges, axes, and mauls for getting stove wood ready. They have gloves, lined and unlined, in leather and cloth. They are your first choice for well pumps and piping when water problems occur, with a selection of submersible, pipe, pump wire, and pipe fittings. They carry cast iron cookware, plenty of dog food, and 100% kiln-dried cedar shavings. They also have dog kennels. You might need an outdoor thermometer. Plan to spend a little time at T.G. Brooks Supply Company talking about warmer days in a couple of months and getting information on your future lawn and garden plans. Soon we'll be talking about putting out pre-emergent weed control. Come to the place people like to shop from all over the region, including Maybell's Boutique upstairs. Maybell's Boutique, a family business featuring children's clothing, shoes, and other nice selections for children heading into 2024. Faithful to the homeowner, farmer, and construction worker since 1936. Phone anytime you need advice at 364 3016. Remember, this in our new year, everything works out when you have a T.G. Brooks Supply Company day. No week is complete without a visit to T.G. Brooks Supply Company and Maybell's Boutique.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's edition of the Gardener's Corner. Well, before the breaks, we were talking about disaster preparedness and food safety, because it's that time of year that we tend to have a little bit of inclement weather here in Person and Granville counties. And the Cooperative Extension Service has a lot of different resources at the local and state level on food safety, what to do during, before, and after a power outage. So don't forget to contact us and check us on our Facebook page at Person Granville FCS for those handouts, fact sheets, and more information. Also, as we begin 2024, we jump into the year with lots of different workshops in both Person and Granville counties. And our family consumer science program teaches health and wellness, food, nutrition, and there's always an interest this time of year, but we do other topics such as disaster preparedness, financial management, and so much more. If you are interested in learning about some of our workshops, we also offer workshops virtually too. So you can check us on our Eventbrite page. Just scan this QR code to look and see what workshops we have coming up on food, nutrition, health, and wellness. If you're interested, again, we always have all of our workshops and registration information on our Facebook page for both Person and Granville counties. No matter which of the two counties you live in, or maybe you're outside those counties, you can always come to any of our programs. A lot of them, or most of them, are free of charge. There are a couple that if we're serving food or if there's expenses kind of on our side, we have to cover those costs there, but they're always minimal. We do monthly lunch and learn workshops. Our next monthly lunch and learn is next Wednesday, January 17th, and it is on choosing healthier choices for tomorrow. So we want you to learn how to make some healthier choices. It's not just about losing weight, which a lot of people are always focused on that this time of year, but making choices, whether it's about physical activity, whether it's about drinking more water, whether it's about eating better, whether it's about finances or stress management or sleep or whatever else. We want to talk about how to make healthier choices for all of that. So our lunch and learn is always $5 to attend because we do serve a nice, delicious lunch there, and you can't get a $5 lunch anywhere anymore. But we need that registration money by today. It's always due the Friday before our workshops so that we have an idea of how much I need to buy and who I need to buy it for. So besides the month of January, we are going to try to have those lunch and learns on the second Wednesday of the month. We weren't able to do that here in January, but the second Wednesday of the month at noon at the Person County office building. And again, you always have to register the Friday before. You can find out the topics on our Facebook or Instagram page, or if you're interested, just contact us and we can add you to our monthly email blast. I try to send out an email only one time a month at the beginning of the month to say, here are all the workshops I'm doing in, both Person and Granville counties. Okay. If you are like me this year, everyone's always focused on health and wellness and exercise and whatnot this time of year. And I try to focus on other stuff when it comes to New Year's. I don't make, specifically resolutions. My goal always is to do better and be better than I did last year, whether it's about physical activity, whether it's about health and wellness, whether it's just about organizing. So over the holiday break with my children, they are probably very glad to go back to school because I was like, we are going to fix this house. When we were taking down all the Christmas decorations, we are cleaning up the clutter. We are getting all of the old clothes that don't fit you anymore out of here. Any toys you don't use, we're going to take those and donate those or sell those or just whatever else. So this time of year, I tend to actually think about cutting the clutter, how to organize and declutter my life so that 2024 is not as hectic and crazy. Because being a mom, working full time, and having kind of middle school age children, and they're always going everywhere and doing everything, I need more time and I need more money and I need to just have more sanity. And one of the things I can do is decluttering my home. So whether you're like me or maybe you are older, and it could be a safety hazard in your home. You got too much stuff that could fall on you, you could trip over, or whatever else. Or if you want to move to a smaller home, or as a child with parents who are in that baby boomer age generation, I really, really want them to declutter their home and to kind of minimize the stuff they have, so that whenever, hopefully not soon, they pass away, I am not stuck with, a garage and a basement and an attic and a home full of 70, 80 years worth of stuff that they have collected over time. So we want to encourage you to declutter your home. It'll help you find things easier. It'll help you increase your productivity so you're not searching for stuff, or so you're not wasting money going and buying the same thing that you already have. It'll make downsizing easier later. Okay. So if you do, maybe you want to move to a smaller home, maybe you end up going and living in you know, a senior living center. So you have all this stuff. So it'll make it easier for not only you, but your children and grandchildren. Um, I try to make a habit of only buying what's needed. So having those discussions with my family too. Do I need this or do I want this? Now, oftentimes it could go either way when it comes to maybe an older adult and a child, a grown child, and they're having those discussions about, mom, just throw it away. You don't need it. There are certain things that have, sentimental value. I'm not a sentimental person. So, but I still need to be understanding and considerate of my parents if they want to keep something just because it's sentimental. Now, that being said, you don't want it to be like, well, I'm keeping everything, you know, um, because then you're still at square one. So if you're working with someone else and they don't live in your home and they're trying to like get rid of everything, let's throw this, throw that, and you want to keep stuff, this is your home, this is your stuff. You get to make the ultimate decisions. But I think it's kind of a middle ground. So having that discussion before you start decluttering is important. And it could be you're not ready to make that decision. It could be yes, get rid of it, no, get rid of it, maybe. Or maybe you don't, you're not throwing it away because it's important to you. Maybe you want to donate it, whether it's to an organization that might need it. Or, maybe if it's a historical value, the Museum of History. If it's extra craft materials, the local needleworkers or quilting, guild or whatever else, these things. Think about that. Is there someone I can donate it to? Okay. And then we want to make it your home healthy and safe for you. So we want to reduce fire hazard risks. We want to reduce safety risks. And you just want to feel better when you come into your home and it's not like a hoarder lives there. Okay. So if you are someone who is a hoarder, it might be that you need to, completely disassociate yourself from your home. Hire people will come in and just clean for you. Okay. And they don't have that sentimental value, or they don't have any of that. It could be you need to go and talk with someone about why you want to keep all this stuff. Okay. There's so many different aspects to it all. But if you are ready to declutter, start somewhere. I don't care where. We have a tendency, like, okay, I'm going to do the kitchen, and you start doing this, and then you go put something up, and then you see that room, and then you start cleaning that room, and the kitchen's still a mess, and then you go in here, and then next thing you know, you got 4 rooms that are kind of like a crazy mess that you've started organizing each of them. It can get very overwhelming very quickly. Okay. So start small and build up. If you go in your kitchen, maybe focus on, okay, I'm going to work on these 3 pantry shelves. Okay. Or I'm just going to get my countertop clean. I'm going to focus on the refrigerator, whatever else. Go in with a positive mindset first. Okay. This why you want to do this. This is going to help you. You will feel better at the end of it. Okay. It's kind of like exercise a little bit. I don't really want to do it. I'm not going to like it while I'm doing it, but when I'm done, I feel so much better. Get your family involved. Give them jobs and duties. So that's what we did over the break. I've told my kids, okay, your job is this. I need you to go and try on all of your clothes, see what fits, what doesn't fit. Make a pile, fits. Here's a bag we'll give it to, Goodwill or donate it, to some local charity or whatever else. Or if there's some reason, we'll keep certain things. Let's keep this. This is a sentimental because it's your favorite shirt and you wore it, whatever. Okay. Make that little pile. Don't make that pile, the keep pile, bigger than any of the other piles. Splitting up those duties, setting aside several different days, several different hours to get it done. Again, figure out your sources of clutter. It could be, I have so many clothes. It could be for my children. It was like toys and games. It was like, okay, here are all your games. You get to keep 10. Maybe you got 30. I don't know. Which ones do you still play? Okay. Or do you want 5 games at my house, 5 games at your grandma's house, 5, what do you want? Okay. Kind of like in my office, I might have all these possible, like it's my craft room or something like this. I have this and I might want to do this. If you haven't touched it in like a couple of years, get rid of it. Okay. Now, if you get a magazine subscription or a newspaper or junk mail or bills or something, some stuff you need to shred, some you need to toss, some you need to recycle. Again, have boxes, have bags, whatever you need. Again, you could break it up as small as you need to. Go in the kitchen. I'm just going to clean the kitchen table today. Okay. Then I'm going to tackle the refrigerator, or then I'm going to tackle the pantry, or, whatever else. So focus on a place. Then list steps. What are you going to do to tackle this one place? And then you can just check off that. It could be you need to make a chart, for the whole family. Okay. I'm going to focus on, the books and the papers and, the mail and the bills. My husband has tons of magazine subscriptions. He's going to get that. The kids are going to focus on their clothing and their laundry. The boys are going to do their hobbies, their hunting and fishing, organize those rooms. The girls are going to do the toys and the games because they have more of that. Some of these things, it needs to be done every day. Then there's certain things that it needs to be done weekly. I need to toss out all the magazines or newspapers or mail that I've gotten. Okay. And then maybe every quarter I need to go through some clothes. Or twice a year, I need to go through the toys and the games to see what we're using. You might have certain organizational styles that you prefer. It could be, I like boxes and baskets. It could be, I want folders and files. It could be, I need drawers and cubbies and different things like this. Buying these little organizational tools can get a little expensive, but it's kind of an investment. I'm going to buy these and I'm going to store them for a certain amount of time. And then if I haven't touched this container, that container is like, I'm going to toss the stuff that's in it. Okay. We need to also, instead of like, oh, I'll do it later. And I've tried to get my kids to do this, it takes 5 to 10 minutes each day to pick up and put away your stuff. Don't throw your jacket on the back of the kitchen table, chair, or dump all your stuff on the counter or whatever else. Go ahead and put it up. As soon as you get home, go put everything where it needs to think. Don't procrastinate. Put the dishes away. Don't just drop them in the sink, because then later somebody's going to have this whole full sink full of dishes. Okay. If you know you're not going to use it, toss it away. Have a throwaway container. This is just trash. Go ahead and put it in the trash. Get in a routine of decluttering on a routine basis, and eventually it will become a routine. It will become a habit. You can use the box method. Again, box to keep, box to store, box to throw away, box to give away or sell or whatever else, and just have 4 containers. Okay. If you have keepsakes, what are you doing with them? Like, I have a drawer full of pictures. I've taken digital pictures, but I've gotten them printed, but they're not in a photo album. I tried to I had a photo album. I was going to put them in there. Well, my photo album, I think the size of the picture should be 3 by 5. I got them all 4x6s. So my photo album doesn't fit the pictures I have. So I need to get rid of this photo album and go get a new one because I wanted to organize and put all these pictures in there so they're not just constantly in a drawer. Okay. Because then I don't enjoy them. Why am I keeping all these pictures if I never had the ability to go look at them and in an organized fashion? And I'm never going to be able to use this drawer for anything else. Okay. If there is something that I have that, oh, when I die, I want this to go to so and so or whatever else, go ahead and give it to them. Enjoy that. Enjoy being able to see the joy in their face when you give it to them. Enjoy being able to see them actually using it. Okay. I mean, just things like that. Okay. When you're buying containers, think about, do I have a shelving unit? Are these all going to be on the floor? Where am I going to store these? If I want to get them down, am I putting them all in the attic? Well, in a couple of years, I'm going to be a little bit too old and unsafe. Maybe I don't feel safe going up in my attic. Okay, then I need a shelving unit. If I'm buying a shelving unit, I want to buy that before I buy my containers. Because if I buy a shelving unit, so the shelves are this big, and then I buy containers that are this big, my containers are not going to fit on the shelving unit. Okay, so thinking about these things and trying to get organized. Okay, and then get rid of the junk. It might be junk to you, but it might be treasures to someone else. If it's broken, if you can't fix it, have you outgrown it? Is the wrong size, color, style? Is it more bother than it's worth to try to fix it? Sometimes we keep things because we feel obligated. Like, oh, my mother or grandmother gave this to me, but it's just kind of in my way and I don't want it. Give it to somebody else. Maybe somebody else will enjoy it. Would it affect you if you never saw it again? If it wouldn't, then why do you still have it? Will it be a burden to the next generation because you didn't get rid of it and now they have to do it all? If you said yes to these things, any of these questions, toss it. Okay. Again, don't forget we have a wonderful recycling center in Person and Granville. We have shredded events that you can shred all those papers and things like that. You have, things you can sell online, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, Amazon. You can sell old books. You can give away stuff to the library, the senior center, the animal shelter, the prison, the museum, the nursing home, Goodwill, thrift store, Habitat for Humanity, Salvation Army. There's so many different ways that you can get rid of stuff. We just want you to conquer the clutter and do it now. Stop the procrastinating, quit making excuses, use it or lose it, learn to let go, be a giver, share what you have. And everything has a place, and compromise if you have to work with someone else to declutter your home. So this has just been some kind of a run through to help you declutter your home. If you'd like more resources or information, again, anything I've talked about, you can look us up online, Facebook, Instagram, at Person Granville FCS is our page. It's a free for thought page. Always check us out on Eventbrite to find out about our upcoming virtual workshops. Thanks so much.